Hey friends, welcome. Come on in. My company's just finishing this remodel out on Lake Travis. And man, check out that spectacular view. This is kind of a fun project. This is a 1960s build that we did really a whole house remodel. But we kept the foundation intact, we kept most of the framing intact. But what we were really looking to do was to change the way the house viewed this incredible setting. As you can see, we're high up on Lake Travis. The lake's a little low right now. We're like 40-some feet below our normal kind of full level. But as you walk out to this living room space, you've got almost a 180-degree view of the entire width of the water. And when we were talking to these clients about this project originally, it was a big project goal of ours. We wanted that sweeping view to be from as many places in the house as possible. We tried to keep the budget as low as we could. So a couple things that I want to mention just on the remodel and budget side. We had 6'8" windows and doors as a header height before. We raised that to 8 foot. So not terrible. It still allowed us a little bit of a header height space there so that most of this framing could be wood framing. However, we have a little bit of steel above this door, and we have 2 steel posts on either side of the door. Now these happen to be weather shield windows, and as I said, 8-foot header, 7 foot wide on these 2 fixed windows. And remember, fixed glass is always going to be cheaper than sliders, but we wanted to be able to slide those doors open and get that sweeping lake view. And you're going to see in a second here, as we open these doors, we also have an incredible pool right below us. But in this video, I want to take some time and talk about exterior railings when you've got a view like this, whether it's a mountain view, a city view, any kind of sweeping view. You really want to take advantage of that and get as much of that view as possible. So on today's video, we're going to review this view rail railing system. We're going to talk about the cost, we're going to talk about how it went together, and I'm going to give you some options as well. Today's build show is sponsored by View Rail. Let's get going. Okay, so on this project, a lot of view and also a lot of railing. We actually have 300 linear feet between the top and the bottom section. And of course, we wanted the best view that we could find through here. And this choice that we ended up with is, I think, just a fantastic choice, both for price and for looks. This is, what you're looking at here is a stainless rod, and this is powder-coated aluminum posts and top rail. I did a project actually not very far from here, also on Lake Travis, gosh, 10, 12 years ago. The designer was looking for the same look as this, and so I had everything custom fabricated out of steel, and we wanted the best maintenance, or the lack of maintenance, I should say, as possible, so I had all that powder coated. But what I found was, once we got it to the job site, because it was powder coated, obviously off-site, we were transporting it in like, gosh, I can't remember if it was 10 foot or 12 foot, but let's say 12-foot sections. Everywhere those sections came together, we had some amount of site welding that was happening on site, which meant that we had steel that was touch-up painted on site, which meant that even though we spent a ton of money on powder coating 2 or 3 years down the road, it looked really bad and really required us to almost repaint that railing system every 2 or 3 years. Now, on the other hand, on some of my other projects with views, I've used glass rail systems, and glass is an option through View Rail as well. But I'm not a fan of glass on the outside for maintenance reasons and also, frankly, for cost. Guys, let me introduce you to Nathan. I think you probably had Nathan and some other videos.
Hey,
you just finishing up on this corner, brother?
Yes, sir.
Let me steal you for 1 second here.
All right.
Nathan and 1 to 2 other guys in our crew did really almost all this work, right?
Yes, sir.
And talk to me about the system. So they ship everything out in a package for you. What did that look like?
So everything came in, all the posts are set, to that 36-inch height. Mm-hmm. They send you the rods in various lengths, to accommodate, your spacing.
Okay.
Pretty simple turnkey package.
And a big direction sheet came with this too, right?
Yeah, it gives you full instructions and shows you step by step how to do everything, what to crimp, where to start and where to stop.
So I'm assuming it starts obviously with posts, right? You said all your posts first, and we have 2 different styles of posts. These are face mount posts that
yes,
you
sir.
actually lagged into our structure underneath. What do those lags look like? Is that this right here?
Yeah, it's a 6-inch stainless steel lag screw.
Okay, a big boy. So this guy actually is on the face underneath there into probably an LVL or something on the
Yes,
outside of the deck, all in stainless. And then the posts that are into the concrete on the pool deck, what'd you use there?
Yeah, it's just a 4-inch stainless steel wedge anchor, just epoxied in and then tightened up.
Gotcha. So these are just drilled basically. And then those posts have a cap that slides down on top. These don't need that because they're not visible on the outside.
Correct.
Now, how does the rod work? We've done some cable rails that require tensioning, but with a rod, there's no tensioning, right?
There is some tensioning, so you take and you cut it to length, take your little reamer, ream it out. Then they have this
Almost like a plumber deburring it before he's
just
running some pipes.
little threaded crimp, stick in there.
And where'd you buy this tool?
Everything comes with the package.
Is that right? Okay, cool.
Down to even the grinder to cut the rods.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Crimp it down, rotate it 90 degrees, crimp it again.
Check that out, that's pretty sweet. So all you did was take that stainless hollow rod and you've added now this threaded connection on there. And you can see the crimps on there, and that's pretty neat. Looks like it's pretty solid.
Yeah, they tighten up really nice, and then you run it through your post, then your tensioner cap, put it on there.
Okay, so we're gonna see this cap, and this is stainless, and you're gonna see that on the
Yes,
backside.
that will be exposed.
And all the posts are aluminum that comes pre-powder coated. Same with this top rail, I'm assuming, right?
Correct.
That's all aluminum powder coated. Did you have to use any touch-up paint anywhere? Did we scratch or dent anything?
ViewRail does provide you with a touch-up kit, and anywhere you've got to cut, just take and touch up the ends,
Yeah.
but it's aluminum, so it's not going to rust. And
Yeah, I was telling these guys earlier, I did a steel rod system before that we paid a bunch of money to powder coat, but everywhere we had to weld on site, they looked bad in like 2 or 3 years because we were just field painting them. Whereas this, even if you had to touch up this corner, I don't think you're even gonna see it. I think 10 years from now, this is still gonna look just as good. And really no maintenance involved either, right?
Pressure washing to wash the dust off. And
Pretty nice. All right, talk to me about the curve though. I didn't even know that was an option, and I know you and the project manager and homeowner spent some time working on that curve. Was that hard? Because that's the same piece of stainless rod, right?
they really fed through there pretty simple, and then we had to connect a few different rods, but their splices hold real nice, and run them through and tighten them down with the ends, and you're good to go.
That's pretty awesome. All right, so all this was flat. This seems pretty straightforward, but talk to me about pitched places where we've got stairs, that sort of thing. Was it any harder to do those areas?
No, not at all. ViewRail sends you everything, drilled for the correct angle. You give them your rise and run, and they figure out the angle, and you just, same process, just stick them through, crimp your ends on, and tighten them down.
Pretty straightforward. This is really the same system I used at my house. Nathan didn't do that one. I had Jorge, one of my other Finnish carpenters, install at my house. But when we're talking about an exterior, you really want to make sure that you've got everything ready to go and rated. And my understanding is that this powder coat line that they put in for this, they spent an extra $1 million making sure this is the best possible powder coating and meets the industry standards for really the highest rating of powder coating. Nathan, great job, man. I love it.
Thank you, sir.
Really, really good work. Let's talk cost here before we close out the video. My understanding is this system runs that we did on this job around $150 to $200 a linear foot. That's right. So we've got a lot of linear footage here, and it took Nathan and his crew and 1 to 2 additional helpers something like 10 days or so to install this. 11 days. It's kind of funny. The welding crew just shut down, so we're all of a sudden a lot quieter. But ViewRail tells me they have a value series with a few less options that you might be able to get for as little as $90 to $120 a linear foot. So there are some good options. I highly recommend you reach out to ViewRail and talk to them about options, about selections, colors, all that kind of stuff, because they really have a ton of options. With that being said, I got to get going because we're hitting the airport for the International Builder Show here in the next couple days. I'm looking forward to seeing what's new from my friends at ViewRail. Guys, big thanks to ViewRail for sponsoring today's video. I'll put a link to those guys in the description below. I want to say a big thanks to these homeowners who let me film at their job site. If you don't know, my company still does somewhere around 7 or 8 projects a year, a mix of both new construction and whole house remodels like we did here. We only really work within about 45 minutes of our office in Austin, Texas. But I've got a great team of project managers, Nathan, who does some carpentry work for us. We just have some really terrific people. And if you've got a cool project for us, reach out to me or my team. I'll have a link to my building company in the description. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button below. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow us on TikTok or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.